Hello, folks. Welcome to Holding On with Holder, where I talk to interesting people about interesting topics. Today, my guest is David Anderson Jr. He's running for U.S. Congress in the 35th District of Texas. Welcome, David.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Glad to have you. So tell us a little bit about your background and how would you describe yourself?
All right. So a little bit about me. Born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, on the east side of San Antonio. Parents raised me in a District Road apartments. We moved to District when I was 2 years old because we moved to District when I was 2 because the apartment the house we had got shot up when I was 2 years old. So my parents felt like that the current neighborhood it was in wasn't safe.
Yeah.
Life was good. Mom was a substitute teacher. Dad was a mortician in the federal home business. By the time I was 8, my mom suffered a stroke and she was permanently paralyzed. She was bedridden, so we had to take care of her. But then by the time I turned 10, my dad got sick. He was in the back doing the body, putting the embalming fluid. The hose broke and the embalming fluid got inside his eyes. So my dad became real paralyzed and he became real paralyzed and he started losing his vision. And as the time went on, the health effects just kept piling up. So at the age of 10, like around 10 and 11, I was pretty much taking care of both of my parents. The state didn't kick in, school officials didn't kick in, family didn't help. So it was just pretty much me and my dad until one day the state came and the state was trying to take me away and put my parents inside a living facility. But luckily, it was a woman upstairs from us. She just moved from New Orleans because of Katrina. Her name was Miss Brown. She was 18, and because she was 18, the state allowed her to have custody of me, my mom, and my dad, so we can stay together and we won't be split up. But ever since then, we just made it work. We overcame every obstacle, every adversity we ever had. It was just like we wasn't rich. Both my parents was on Social Security checks. We was making with $1,300 combined to last us the whole month. We was like people. My parents, huh?
For 3 people?
Yeah, like
wow.
3 people. Technically 4 people because it was me, my mom, my dad, and Miss Brown.
Yeah.
So it was 4 people. Like we was like, I grew up on the food stamps, housing, Section 8, all that. But the one thing I can say about my parents, they always told me one thing: just because they don't have it, they're gonna make sure I have it. So they pushed education behind me dramatically. Like my dad, every time I came home from school, my dad made sure I did my homework. I was not allowed to go to basketball practice if my homework wasn't done.
Yeah.
Like, and my mom, even though she couldn't talk, even though she couldn't talk, and even though like she had to walk in a walker, she would go grab a book and point at the book and tell me to read this book and read it to her. So, like, I didn't realize my family circumstance. Like, I didn't realize how, like, pretty much how poor we was until like I was in like the senior year of high school and realizing what we didn't have, because my parents made sure from school clothes, the tennis shoes, the cell phones, they made sure that I always had it. It wasn't left out.
Yeah.
And the one thing, and I'm pretty sure you can hear it, I got a speech impediment. I've been studying all my life. I went to numerous speech therapists, numerous school speech therapists, numerous clinical speech therapists, and like I learned to deal with it. Like, and one thing, like my speech impediment, it doesn't make me who I am. It's just another obstacle and adversity that that I have learned to live with and to overcome.
Yeah. Well, you're doing just fine. You're doing
yes, sir. Fine. Thank you so much. So pretty much, so when I got into high school, I tell anybody, when I got into high school, I didn't make my first A into the 9th grade because I literally had a teacher I had a teacher in middle school. Her name was Mrs. Hysaw. Most of my teachers would just pass me along, pass me along, pass me along. Mrs. Hysaw actually pulled me aside and she actually asked me what's going on in my personal life and she helped me. Once she actually taught me how to do certain things academically, I took off. I made straight A's from the 9th to the 12th grade. I went from not knowing how to read in middle school to learning how to read to finish the number 9 in my high school class. Graduated with multiple academic scholarships from all over the state of Texas. Finished with basketball scholarships. And went to college. My first college I went to was Lamar University. Then I transferred to the University of Northland University in Minnesota. Then and I was in Northland. My mom passed away, and my dad needed somebody to come take care of. So I was transferred back from Minnesota, went to Texas State University to be closer to my dad to help take care of him, where I studied public health. And like a lot of people counted me out. A lot of people counted me out saying I was never gonna make it. A lot of people counted me out saying, how can somebody like you make it? How can somebody what's it going through making it? But like I tell people, like, if you judging me off of my circumstances as a kid and what I went through as a kid, because I know I wasn't the best kid. I was going through a lot. I was going through a lot of adversity. I was going through a lot of anger management problems. Like, but once I realized how to deal with it, and once I realized that where I come from doesn't make me the person about who I am, that I can change my surroundings, change my adversities, and use them to my advantage, and actually learn from this, learn from it. I just took off. Like I got a nonprofit that feeds the community on the east side of San Antonio. I work with a lot of nonprofits doing school drives, food banks, resume writing, financial literacy. Because the reason I do this because I know what it means. I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to come from nothing. I know what it's like to be counted out, to be the underdog, to people talking bad about you, to nobody wants to help you, to the state coming in trying to split you up from your family. And like I don't want no other kid or nobody in general to go through that. So I use all my resources to help the people in my community fight that, to let them know, like, I know what you're going through. If you need help, anybody on the east side of San Antonio can tell you, if you need help, just come to me and I will find you. If I can't help you, I will find the resources to help you. Because I want to get back to my community and I just want to I love giving back.
Yeah. Well, that's quite a story. You certainly wasn't born with a silver spoon in your mouth, were you?
No, sir.
Well, I'm proud of you for coming out of all of that and doing what you're doing. I really am.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you like to talk about politics?
Oh, I love politics.
Yeah. And you're running
yes,
for U.S. Congress in 2022. Why?
Yes, sir. The reason, because like, I got nothing against that comment. Lloyd Doggett is a great person, but I feel like our district needs somebody that can relate to the community better, like somebody that's actually from the community, somebody that's in the community, and somebody that knows what the community wants.
Yeah.
Cause like I feel like I'm more in touch with, and plus the rate of younger age is going. We need somebody that can actually speak for all of us, not just one not just one demographic of voters. I feel like I can connect with the older generation and the younger generation. And I'm pretty sure, as you see it from my website and my Facebook page, I connect with all races. Like I'm here for all races, no matter Black, brown, white, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, Asian, anybody. I connect with all of them, and like that's what my campaign is about, is unity. It's bring everybody together. I wanna bring everybody together in this district, because how can we say what's best for this country if we don't got reputation from everybody?
Yeah.
Like, we don't have like how can we say, like, as an African American man, how can I say what's best for the Hispanics or the Middle Easterns or the Asians if I don't go actually out there and speak to them and like actually talk to them and ask them, like, what do they want? What do you need? Like, what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
And
so
that's what I'm pretty much doing. I want to bring everybody.
Have you done a lot of volunteer work?
Oh, yes, sir. I do most of my volunteer work through my nonprofit, and I also volunteer through ZCI, the Junior Chamber Event International, and I also do a lot of volunteer work with a Big Mama House.
Okay, good deal. Now, do you personally know Claudia Zapata, your competition for Democratic Party?
We talked 2 or 3 times on the phone. Claudia, because I posted a post in the Bad County Democrat page, and that post was just people were just going in on me, talking bad about me. Claudia reached out to me saying, don't listen to them, still run. Then we talked again like 2 or 3 times on the phone. We're real good friends. Me and Claudia got each other's personal phone numbers, personal Facebook pages, Instagram pages, email addresses, and we can reach out to each other anytime if we talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I did interview her, as you know, and I enjoyed talking to her. She is a sweet lady, and she has some good ideas and some good aspirations, as you do too.
Yes, sir.
So I just wish I was in your state and district so I could vote for one of you.
Yes, sir.
So what convinced you to get into politics?
So when I first was volunteering around the east side of San Antonio, we don't have no, besides our city council and our state rep, we don't have nobody to actually talk to us, like somebody that can actually speak for us and like actually represent the community. Because as you know, I grew up in the east side of San Antonio. Then I went to Texas State in St. Marcus, which is in the district. Then I went to Austin. Most people in our district don't know who our U.S. Congressman is. Most of them will tell you, if you just walk around our district, they just vote because Democrat. Most of them are just straight ballot votes. And when you ask them, like, hey, who's our U.S. Congressman or who's our U.S. Congresswoman? Most of them will tell you, oh, we don't know. So I asked, like, so why you voted for them? And they'd be like, oh, because they're Democrat. And like, the one thing I tell everybody, don't vote for nobody until they earn your vote. Yeah. Because if that person cannot come to your events, if that person cannot come to the community, block walk, and actually pick up the phone and talk to you, make them earn your votes. And that's the one thing I think we're lacking. Like, we don't have nobody that's actually connected to the community and connected to the district about what we really want and what we really need. We need something like, I figure like, the one that I jumped in this race because we need somebody that, like an average day person that you can just go up to and talk to at like a grocery store. I'll go inside like a Walmart. If you see me, I want people to come talk to me and say, hey, what do you need and what do you want? And I tell people, like, I live on the east side, and I tell people, like, you can come and knock on my door anytime you want to, and we can talk about political issues because I want to hear what the community wants.
Yeah. So what do you think the minimum wage should be?
$15 an hour. The reason I said that because a lot of people haven't realized something. The cost of living went up, and the cost of living went up, but minimum wage stayed the same.
Yeah,
like it makes no sense. Because I remember back in the day, I can go to McDonald's and buy like a burger for $2. Now if I go to McDonald's, I'm spending $10.
Yeah.
I'll go to the grocery store, buy a couple of things. I'm spending like at least $100. But like minimum wage is still the same, man. Let's be for real. Nobody can live off minimum wage.
Yeah.
Nobody can live off that. that standard. Then we get mad saying, then as the community, we get mad saying, oh, if minimum wage is $15, what about the other jobs? I feel like if we raise minimum wage to $15, other companies need to raise their salaries too and raise their pay too. Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't expect somebody working at McDonald's making $15 to get paid the same amount as a plumber. We need to start making these companies pay people what they're worth.
Yeah. So what do you do for a living now?
For a living, I'm a contract worker for the Department of Defense.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So do you work at a prison?
Oh no, sir. I work as a technology help desk. Like when people from the military call in for troubleshooting on their technology, I walk them through on the way to fix it.
Okay. Do you enjoy that?
Oh yes, it's fun because I mainly work with overseas bases. So I talk to a lot of people around the world, a lot of military people overseas, and I like to hear about their different cultures they experiencing.
Yeah. Well, if you get elected to U.S. Congress, you'll be making $174,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine that will be a raise for you.
Oh, yes, sir.
So as your governor, Greg Abbott, has he handled the COVID-19 crisis well, do you think?
Can you say it again, sir? I didn't hear you.
Your governor, Greg Abbott, how has
Yes,
he
sir.
done with the COVID-19 thing? Do you think he has handled it well?
To be completely honest, I feel like he could have handled it better because the state of Texas, we really did, like, even though people was quarantined wearing masks, he really didn't supply support that people need, like for rent assistance, bill assistance, mask mandates, because it made no sense that people couldn't go to work, but they could still get evicted.
Yeah.
People couldn't go to work, but it was still CP. I know people who got light bills over $2,000 or $3,000, but they couldn't go to work or they lost their jobs. And to get unemployment, I know friends that applied for unemployment 7 to 8 months ago, and they're still on the waiting list. Yeah. It should have been something in place that stopped bill payments, that stopped rent payments, not deferral, because a lot of people don't understand, just because they deferred your rent or they deferred your light bills, you still got to pay that.
Yeah.
Deferment does not mean cancellation. Like, they still got to pay that. And a lot of people, Governor Albert, he should have created a COVID-19 specialist team that focuses on getting the word out and getting resources to all the cities and counties in the state of Texas. And he should have provided funding to all the cities and country towns that help them actually help the community out. Because it makes no sense that people are getting evicted because they can't work. And it's not their problem that they can't work. It's just they lost their job because of COVID-19.
Yeah. So if your governor asked you, what should I do? What advice would you give him?
The first advice I would give him is start by not deferring it, but going back to actually counseling all light bill, water bill payments, and rent payments for the people that can't work. Then create a bill, because I know landlords and managements are going to get mad. Create a bill that we would give management, landlords, and apartment managers. We would give them a lump sum of money for everybody in their apartment complex that can't pay their rent. This way the tenant doesn't have to worry about where they're gonna get the money from, and the landlord can still be at ease that, hey, the state is still paying me, so you can stay. You can stay here. Yeah. And also, do the same thing for the CPS company. I mean, the light bill companies. and the water companies. We need, if the state would have stepped in and say, hey, don't charge nothing, we would take care of it, it would have been, a lot of people would not be in the circumstances that they're in now.
Yeah. And a lot of people will never recover.
I know a lot of people that have been in business for like 20 and 30 years and lost everything.
Yeah. So what do you think about capitalism? Do you think it's time to replace it, or do you think we can do something good with it?
That's a good question. I say the only way we can fix that and like actually come to like an agreement with both sides, like the only way we will all have to come sit down at a table and talk about it. But the only way that will work is we would have to get these old politicians out. They've been in office for thousands of years, that think that no matter what you say to them, no matter how you say it to them, they're not going to change their ways. We have to get people in office that actually want to come to the table, sit down, and change it. Because I don't want to say, because if I say, oh, capitalism, put it all on the progressive side, go with the progressive movement, it's never going to pass. We have to work together with the Democrats and Republicans, sit down, have a talk about it, and come up with a way that can work for both sides.
Yeah. Do you think that will happen?
Yes, we have to get, yes, if we get these long-time incumbents that have been in office for like 30 and 40 years out the way, to actually elect people that want to come down to the table and actually talk it out, then yes, it will.
Yeah. So do you support labor unions?
Oh yes, I love labor unions. I was talking to my staff earlier today. I told my campaign manager, if y'all want to get a union together and start a union as a campaign staff union, y'all got my full support.
Yeah. Has that ever been done for a campaign?
I know it was the mayor of Brooklyn. Her staff wanted to start a union, but I know it was in the news. It was a mayor candidate in Brooklyn. Her campaign staff wanted to start a union, and they was talking about it.
Yeah. So what do you think about this guaranteed income, or do you think that's UBI, I think it's called? Is that the good thing?
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of my issues. But the one thing about UBI, like I said, like I stance on my issue page on my website, I will only do UBI for people under the national poverty level. I'm not gonna give UBI to everybody. Like if somebody's making 6 figures, they don't need UBI.
Right.
I need some. I would create a department that would just go through everybody that's under the national poverty level, get them UBIs, get them UBIs until they become over the national level. Then I wouldn't just give them the UBIs. I would give them training and different resources so they know what to do with their money, how to invest their money. Because let's be real, nobody wants to be under government control all their life.
Yeah.
So I would just give them UBI until they get on their feet, offer them free college classes, technical training, technical schools, financial.
Your sound went out. I'm not hearing you anymore.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I do now. Yeah, I hear you now. But for a few seconds there, all I got was silence. I see your mouth moving. But...
Oh, yeah. No, I was saying pretty much. I said UBI was just be for the people under the national poverty level until we get them enough training, resources, and help to help them over the poverty level. Because once somebody becomes self-sustained, they don't need UBI no more. Now it's going to move on to the next person on the rating list, so we can have the whole country so the whole country won't be under government control. Because UBI, if the UBI, you're pretty much will be under government control because you'll be dependent on the government for money. My goal is to help you while you're on UBI, help you get them free technical schools, help you get free college, help you help you get free college, help you with your kids' needs, help you get food in your house, help you. But when you become self-sustained and you no longer need the UBI's money, on to the next person.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. So what about the two-party system? Do you think we need to do something about that?
I like to be honest with you, I like the two-party system. But as to be honest with you, it's more than just the Democrats and Republicans.
Don't you think the Democrats and Republicans make it hard on everybody else intentionally?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty much a power struggle. It's a power struggle. From watching this this last presidential election, the Libertarian candidate, she had amazing ideas, but nobody was giving her press coverage.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, if any Libertarian, Green Party, Independent jump in my race, I would make. If they don't get invited to none of the events, I will invite them to the events myself because I don't want nobody to say I won this. If I do win this race, I don't want nobody to say I won my race by being a bully. I want to give everybody the same platform and the same platform I get because I don't want nobody to say I cheated. I don't want nobody to say I bullied my way in there. I don't want nobody to say, oh, you only won because so-and-so didn't have the platform to speak on. If any Libertarian, Green Party, Independent, or the other parties jump in, I will invite them to all the events. Even if they can't even get to the event, I will invite them to my event to speak because I do host a lot of events. I want my race to be clean and fair. I don't want nobody to say you only won because you're the Democrat and you power struggled your way in there. I don't want that tied to my name.
Yeah. So who did you vote for president?
That was Biden. That was Biden. That was Biden. It was Biden all the way. Yes, I'm a straight Democrat ticket.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. I'm straight Democrat.
Do you think Biden is doing a good job so far?
He's doing a good job. But the only thing I would like for Biden to see is, once I'm speaking for the African American community, we do feel that Biden has not passed nothing for the African American community, and we would like some type of representation that's going to help the African American community out in the long run, because we want something that's going to actually help us. But other than that, Biden has been doing a good job. But we would like for him to actually sit down with some African American leaders and actually pass a bill or sign an executive order that would actually help our community, because the African American community is struggling. And the one thing about the African community, and the one thing about the community that a lot of people are saying, if Democrats don't do nothing to help us, a lot of African Americans in the state of Texas keep on saying they're gonna start going toward the independent side.
Yeah.
I've heard from all of, and not just Texas, all over the country. A lot of people are saying if Biden does not do nothing, as he promised for the African American community, they're gonna start going to the independent side. Because I know you realize something about across this country. It's more African Americans running as Republican now than Democrat.
Is that right?
Yes, if you look at some of these races around the country, most of them are young African Americans running on the Republican side. Like for San Antonio, this last coming election, we had a tax assessor. We had a tax assessor. Most of his ideas was pretty much Democratic ideas. Like, the dude had good ideas, but he ran on the Republican side. The dude running against AOC as an African American, running on the Republican side. Then across the country, everybody I talk to, African Americans, most of them are saying they're going toward the Republican side or the independent side or the libertarian side, because they said they're tired of Democrats. What the?
Do what? Okay, it looks like I've lost David here. I hope you can make it back in. David, can you hear me? I want to pause the recording here for just a second.
Got it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so the one, as I was saying, Joe Biden is doing a good job. I'm happy that Kamala Harris is doing a good job too. But they have to pass something for the African American community. A lot of African Americans are saying, why do we keep voting Democrat? And the last time a Democrat has did something for us was like during the LBJ era. We're trying to see, like, a lot of people are getting mad because Democrats haven't done nothing for the African Americans community. And if you go to most of these local rallies, local meetings, a lot of people are starting to say why we keep voting Democrat. So if I could say one thing to Biden and them, I was like, try to sit down with the African American community and ask us what we want and what we need, so we can you can pass a bill to help us, because a lot of African Americans are actually screaming for help, and a lot of them are saying, in Joe's first 100 days, he signed a lot of executive orders, but none of them was for the African American community.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are saying, if Biden doesn't do something soon for the African American community in 2024 for that next election, it's going to be a lot of independents and a lot of libertarian African Americans voting for them parties.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the Trump impeachments?
He should have been impeached. I've never seen a president say, march on the Capitol. They marched on the Capitol, and Trump, then he didn't want to tweet them to stop. I'm like, if anybody else would have did that, they would have got impeached. I'm like, why can't he sent his mob to attack his fellow politicians, even attack his vice president, and nobody from the Senate wanted to, and like the Senate and the Senate, it shouldn't have been no fight. It shouldn't have been no fight to get him impeached. It should have been 100% overall. Yeah. But the Republican Party was still trying to defend him. Like, how can you defend somebody that sent people to attack you?
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense. Huh?
And to overthrow the government.
Oh, pretty much, like, that's what he really wanted. He really wanted them to get them capture them and overthrow this whole election.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about something. They built a hanging stand outside. I don't think that was just for show. They built a stand to hang people outside during that riot. I don't think that was just for show. Like, if they would have actually got somebody, I feel like that mob would have made a stance. And also they beat a Capitol police officer with a fire extinguisher going down the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, Trump has to face some type of judgment for that. Like, you can't get away with that, because if that was anybody else, they would probably be facing federal judges right now, fighting a court case. He has to fight for that. Like, he has to face some type of judgment for his actions.
I think he should be in prison for the rest of his life.
Same.
I don't think that's going to happen, though. I don't think it'll happen.
Same.
So what do you think about the present state of the world, David? How are we doing?
So, like, as the world or just the U.S.?
For the whole world.
The whole world. The U.S., as the whole world, we need to start. I do believe the U.S., I like when the U.S. helps other countries. I'm all for going overseas, being diplomatic, helping everybody else. But I do feel like the U.S. does need to pull back and start worrying about the U.S. We give so much money to other countries. We give so much help to other countries. But what about our veterans sleeping on the side of the road? What about our elderly getting evicted from their apartments? What about people that can't buy food and put food in their houses? I like America needs to scale back a little bit and actually worry about American problems and help American citizens. I would stop sending money to so many overseas countries and helping them where we got so many people suffering right here on U.S. soil.
Yeah. So do you think it's going to get better? I mean, do you think our present situation is it hopeless?
Right now, I feel it's hopeless because nobody wants to talk it. Nobody wants to talk it out. Like nobody wants to actually sit in the room and talk to each other. It should be no reason as a Democrat I can go talk to my fellow Republican. I'm like, hey, I know I can't get everything I want. You can't get everything you want, but we can come together and make bills at a 50-50 to help both sides.
Yeah.
If we do not learn how to talk stuff out with each other and cross party lines and talk to each other, this world is never going to get better. Because right now, I might want something, the Republicans might want something, but hey, if we don't come talk it out, it's never going to get better. Then when it comes to world leaders, we low key. A lot of countries don't like the U.S. It's no secret. A lot of countries don't like us. The only reason a lot of countries tolerate us is because of our military power.
Yeah.
We need to start talking to these world leaders. And we need to start asking them like, hey, the US can only help you for so much. But until we come up with like 5 or 10 year plans, like, hey, we'll help you for 5 or 10 years. But after that, we're gone because we can't keep on helping. We can't keep on helping you taking resources from our own country.
Yeah. Well, can we talk about racism for a minute?
Yes, sir.
Do you think systemic racism is a real thing in the United States?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay, let me give you an example. I started running for my campaign, right? I've read about KKK, neo-Nazis, people being racist in this world until I was in a little country town. I was in New Braunfels. I was in New Braunfels, Texas, walking out of corner store, wearing my campaign shirt. Somebody told me, do you know what we call this city? I said, no, ma'am. She was like, we call this city Klan City, USA. It should be no reason. I've traveled from playing basketball, from traveling. I've dealt with more racism in this campaign than I ever have my whole life. Yeah. I've been called the N-word multiple times. I've been called other racial slurs. Yeah. I have people even like sitting. I'm in a little country town passing out flyers like this, like putting the postcards up on doors. People coming out on they put it in nooses on their mailboxes. It shouldn't be like that. Like it shouldn't be this. Like I've never thought I would deal with so much racism in this short amount of time running for office than I have my whole life. Yeah. Man, I tell my staff, I always tell my staff, we do not block walk alone. We do not travel alone. If you're going to a country town, take somebody with you. Yeah. Even when we stay in hotels overnight, I make sure they get double bed. I mean, 2 beds in one room because I don't want nothing to happen to none of us because we deal with so much racism. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I wish I could say I'm surprised by that, but I can't say that I'm surprised. So what are your thoughts on white supremacy and white privilege? Is that overrated? Is that over talked about? Is that not talked about enough? Or?
The one thing I feel about that, because I do have a lot of white friends. We're letting a small group is making it bad for the whole race. Because not all white people are racist. Like, not all white people are like that. But because a small little group is making noise, it makes it bad for the whole race. And that's the one thing I do not do. Like, I don't judge somebody off of a small group. Just because your uncle called me the N-word doesn't mean you're racist like that. I try to judge everybody off of their own as their own selves. I don't, because white supremacists, I'm not gonna lie, there is as I started running for office, I realized there's more than just the KKK and the neo-Nazis. It's way more groups than that in the US. But that small group is making it bad for everybody else. And I hate to say it, if you look at most of these rallies and most of these things, white people will come out and say, we're not with them. Don't judge us based off of them. And we shouldn't judge them based off of a small group. We should judge everybody as individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to tell people, that if they say that racism is not systemic and, it's not the way it is, I say, well, look at it this way. Our forefathers in our country, they started this country. It was a bunch of rich, white men, and they made sure they were the only ones that could vote for as long as they could keep it that way. And that was a long time, as you know. You had to be rich, you had to be white, you had to be male, and everybody else didn't count. So if that's the foundation our country was built on, how could it be anything but racist and classist and sexist, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
It's got to be. I mean, I hate it. I don't know if you realize or not, but I ran for U.S. Congress last year.
Oh, yeah, I read your bio.
Yeah, okay. And I ran as an independent. And one of the things I talked a lot about was fighting the systemic racism and the poverty. And I was not treated very well by a lot of people. This is a very red state. And the millionaire white lady won.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
But I tell you what, I'm glad to see people like you run, and I wish you all the best. And like I said before, you have my respect. I'm very proud of you and what you've done with your life and what you are trying to do. That's really, really great. Is there anything else you want to say that I haven't given you an opportunity to say? Anything at all?
The only thing I like to say to everybody that watches this interview, my email is always open. I'm always down to talk, do Zoom calls, any individual groups. I love talking to people. I want to hear what you want from the U.S. Congressman. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. So I need the help from my constituents to help guide me, because if you don't tell me what you want, I can't fight for you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, my campaign motto is unity builds our future.
Well, I'll tell you what, I do wish you all the best. I thank you for talking to me today.
Yes.
And folks, thanks for tuning in to Holding On with Holder. Please subscribe to my channel and feel free to share this video all over social media. And if you're in the 35th District of Texas, I'm sure David Anderson would love to have your vote.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again for being here, and I wish you all the best, and you have a great day.
You too. Bye.